Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me at The Lonely Vine. And happy Friday to everyone. Even though it was a short week, those can sometimes seem like the longest, can't they? Alright, so fun Friday, taking kind of a laid-back approach to the Friday, look at different things. Today I mentioned it on Wednesday's post that I was looking into some label kind of stuff, and so that's what I was going to look at today. And labels are, really important when it comes to your wine. Not only does it carry a lot of information, it gives you alcohol percentage, it tells you where the grape is from, what kind of grape it is. There's usually something maybe about the winemaker, about the grapes, stories, but beyond that, there's the visual representation of the label. And, when you think about the label, it's going to be, there's probably three things that you possibly look at when you're buying a wine, right? And it depends on how into wine you are as well. But there's price. Obviously, that's probably almost everybody's number one thing when they're looking for. There's, if you're looking for a specific kind of grape, there's that. There's the scores that you can get on some wines, but that's not all of them. And then there's the label, and that's really outside of talking to the people working at the wine shop. That's all you have to go with. So if you don't really worry about, if you're just saying I want a red wine or a white wine, you've got your price point. There may not be any markers, any blurbs ratings to say anything. You're down to 2 wines. Label's going to be what sells you, right? And I was reading another thing where the average person, when they're going in to get a bottle of wine, takes less than 1 minute to make their selection. And given what you may have to read, everything else, the label is probably, outside of price, label's probably going to be the next most important thing to selling you a wine. So it's a big deal, right? So I've seen there's quite a few, folks out there that have really looked at it and kind of broken down labels into categories. I kind of liked that. Some had like 5, some had 7, they're all over the place. And I went to the wine shop today to find a wine, and I went in, I didn't want to look at anything other than labels and just find a label that caught my eye, and that's what I was going to get. I didn't care how much it cost. Okay, I did. I didn't care what varietal it was, if it was white, it was red, it didn't make any difference. I just walked up and down the aisles looking for something that just caught my eye. And as I was looking through them, I kind of started, thinking about what people were saying for classifications, and I started kind of building my own, and, I just kind of came up with my own little classification of what you see with labels. So I want to run through that. There's the classic, the old world model, and you see this in a lot of new world wines as well. It's just pretty straightforward. It's pretty classic. It gives you, the information you need about, where it's from, what grapes, and that's about it. So that's the classic. And then for whatever reason, there's the animal, and animal's huge. There's there's kangaroos, there's frogs, there's deer, lions, salamanders, there's all kinds of animal-based labels. Here's a pig, and hey, a pig, that's going to be a good seller, right? Then there is, portraits, landscape, paintings, those kind of scenes kind of labels. And then there is, this kind of minimalist approach. It's mostly the bottle and maybe, a little image. Like on this one, there's another one I was looking at today that was same kind of thing. It was incognito. It was just like a mask, a Mardi Gras kind of mask thing on it. There's quite a few of those too. And then there's kind of the artwork, kind of thing. I got a couple of them here. There's this Albarino, this kind of just a bunch of little images, and they go as far as to have paintings too, or not paintings, but images, pictures that kind of tell a story, and then there's what I was kind of talking to a little bit Wednesday with the cartoon kind of thing. So those were kind of, some of the classifications that stood out to me that I recognized a lot going through it. But as I was walking through it, I walked through twice. I'd noticed a couple that kind of stood, that kind of caught my eye. But then I saw this one and I was like, yep, that's it. For a couple reasons. And this one it's from Big House, and it's the Slammer. It's a Syrah, and it's a cartoon. It's a 2009, and it's the guy in jail, right? And if you look over on the top, there's the keys to the cell, and he's looking out his little cell there. But what I kind of liked, it extended onto the back, which you don't really see a lot, and he's got his little plumber crack cooking there, and his name is Syrah, and you don't gotta be able to see it, but they mark their days in prison, and he's got 2009 up there, and it's got a whole little story on it that kind of ties into the motif. So I was like, okay, you got me, all right, you got me on that. I like the whole front to back story, how they tie together. There's a whole story there, so that's what I went with. So I got a Syrah that was under $10. And one other, kind of thing that really, I look at something like this and I go, okay, you got me with the label, but what's the juice going to be like? What's it going to be like once we get it in the glass? We're going to find out here pretty quick. But, I wonder what the winemakers, what their thought process is, because something like this, anytime you buy a wine, you're going to make a note of what you think of it. So is this going to be a one-time purchase? Besides wine, there's so many things like that. You buy it for the label, and then it's not worth it. Or is this one going to be label and juice is all good for $10? California, Syrah, Central Coast, 13.5. I think I saw the alcohol. Yeah, 13.5. All right, so let's get right into it. I've been rambling for a few minutes now. Color-wise, can kind of see through it, not totally. We've got, it's kind of that ruby color, moving more towards, maybe a brick kind of red color, maybe a little bit of purple in there. Let's see what we have going on the nose. Okay, I get a lot of fruit right away. Dark fruit, blackberry, blueberry, some dark plum. There's a little bit of that spice in there as well, like a pepper. Whoop, here it goes. We're sloshing. It must be Friday. I'm getting a little bit of that, almost like a peppered teriyaki beef jerky kind of thing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like you get your teriyaki jerky, or you got your pepper jerky. Well, if you threw them all in a bag, mashed them together, I'm getting that. There's a lot of spillover color too, if I'm rolling the glass. So, Probably saw a lot of contact with the skin. Okay, that's about all I'm getting on the nose. Let's see what's going on the palate. Okay. I need one more taste here. Okay, so I get that blackberry fruit, I get that blueberry fruit coming through, almost to like pie. You know, it's so much fruit that it almost reminds me of a blueberry pie or something like that, with some blackberries in it as well. Not a lot of acidity to it. There's enough, but borderline. I get a little bit of the heat from the alcohol, but not a lot. And on the finish, you know, it disappears pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I get out of it. Pretty fruit forward. You know, like I said, with those blueberries and blackberry kind of things coming through. There's some cassis as well in there. You know, and then it just kind of disappears. Not much going on in the finish. You know, but for $10, I'm not complaining about it. You know, this would be one where I would say the label exceeded the juice. But again, you know, for $10 Syrah, yeah. You know, if I was going to score this one, I would probably put this one in the 84, 85 kind of range. You know, definitely nothing terrible. You know, about what I would expect out of it. And we'll just leave it at that. Let's see. Question for the show. Talking about labels. So what are some of your favorite labels that you've either seen or bought for a wine? You know, I mean, this one, I mean, this label, it's really fun. I mean, it really, the front and back, you know, it made me laugh. It really, you know, they put a lot of thought into it. So I like that. You know, some of these other ones too, you know, we talked about the Hirsch with the human body and deer head going on. So what are some that you've seen that have really stood out to you? That's it. I hope you have a great weekend. I know I'm going to. And until next time, everybody, cheers.